we're going to be also talking about all the teams that got eliminated and what the future looks like for those specific teams that have questions going forward next on The Crease. Welcome into The Crease, and if you are looking to go to any of these games or any games in general, you need to check out our affiliate, Vivid Seats. The link will be down in the description of this video. You can check out Vivid Seats. They have everything you need to go live vividly at all of your favorite sporting team and events all year long. Check out the link, support the house call, support The Crease. Go see your teams live, in person, use Vivid Seats, and go live vividly. Now, obviously, since we've had teams move on in the second round, that means some teams have gone home, boys, and none is probably more surprising. We're going to start off in the East here with Tampa Bay, who, Kucherov actually absolutely played out of his mind. We thought they would have the offense to kind of battle with the Panthers, and they only got one game. I mean, it just shows you how playoff Bob played out of his mind there, but Tampa Bay has some questions going forward. They have some, aging stars on the team that look like they may not be coming back. Retirement talks have been thrown around a little bit here. Where are they going? Free agents are on there. So, Ian, I want to go ahead and start with you here, man. How does Tampa Bay come back from such a disappointing showing, in which case, they were in one of the tougher divisions in the Atlantic, number one wild card spot, and just happened to go up against a Florida Panthers team that, they were kind of hoping they wouldn't have to face. I mean, there was a moment there where they thought they were going to get the Bruins, and honestly, as a Bruins fan, no one was happier than I was probably that we got the Toronto Maple Leafs instead of the Lightning, because the Lightning would be in the second round right now, going up against probably the Florida Panthers, but, hey, they would have made it to the second round, but now they're going home. They lost the Battle of Florida, and questions abound for them. So, Ian, I'll start with you. Where does Tampa Bay go from here? Rookie. He's a rookie.
Dude, he pulled my move.
Pulled a Gage. Gage's first thing back, and you're going to pull a Gage. Rookie.
Dang, that's highly unfortunate. That's highly unfortunate. But my team's still in the playoffs, and Gage's isn't. So, I mean,
Gage has never made it.
Exactly, his didn't get close. At least I'm in the second round with the Stars. But back to Tampa, I'm gonna look up their salary cap situation on Cap Friendly, and I know Steven Stamkos is a free agent this offseason. We don't know what's going to happen with him. There's a very good chance Steven Stamkos could be playing in another jersey come next season. Their full list of upcoming free agents are Stamkos, Anthony Duclair's a free agent, Tyler Mott, Austin Watson, Mitch Chaffee. Chaffee's probably gone. Watson's probably gone. I don't know what they do with Mott. Matt Dumba's an upcoming free agent. Calvin DeHaan's an upcoming free agent. Hayden Fleury's an upcoming free agent. So I don't really know what you do from here. Do you try to bolster depth if you're Tampa? Because Kucherov and Point are on the books for $9.5 million for the next couple seasons. Cirelli's on the books for $6.25 million for the next couple seasons. Paul's on the books. I really don't know what you do here if you're Tampa Bay. That was probably your last shot. And to be honest with you, Kucherov was a ghost in these playoffs. Kucherov was an absolute no-show. Look at his stat line. I think he might have recorded 1 point. He was not effective whatsoever. The Panthers did a good job neutralizing him. Vasilevsky, so-so. I don't think he's fully healthy. Stamkos was good, but that, again, you might never see him in Tampa Bay again. So it's kind of hard, especially since each year they're losing pieces of their core. It might be time to start thinking about a rebuild in Tampa Bay, or a soft rebuild or a retool, because honestly, your prospect pools run dry. Who can you get rid of? Do you want to bolster your depth and keep some guys around, or do you want to sign Stammer to a contract that ensures he sees out the rest of his days in Tampa Bay and potentially handcuffs you for the very near future? It's a tough question.
It really is a tough question. It's very, very hard to figure out where this is going to go for Tampa Bay. I mean, there's a lot of these teams that are eliminated that we looked at as perennial contenders are going to have these same questions, and you brought up a lot of really good points on where they're going to go forward. The salary cap's going to be a big deal. Obviously, you're looking at Nikita Kucherov. He's your cornerstone. He's your key piece here, and you need guys around him. And they may have to go and find some bargain bin because, if it didn't work with what you had, bringing what you had back doesn't make a lot of sense. Even if they are cornerstone players, if it's not going to work, and we'll get into that with another team here in a second, but it's just not going to work. But we're going to go ahead and shift gears here, and we're going to talk about Toronto. And I'm going to start off with Toronto, and I'm going to tee Gage up here. I'm going to give him a solid, just tee it up on there, ready to go for he can drive this back in my face. But you have Marner, Nylander, and Matthews, who've been together since 2016. In 8 years, they have one playoff series win. They have been sent home in the first round every year, except for last year, that they have made the playoffs. At some point in time, as the bench, as the front office, as your coach, more the front office, I'd say, you have to make a decision. Is this a coaching issue or is it a player issue? Now, I would like to think it's a coaching issue because that's just too much talent not to win a series. But the problem that you run into is that Matthews is missing games with an illness in a league where people play with broken hands and broken jaws and everything else. And Nylander's just, we don't know where he is. We don't know why he's not playing. He's just not playing. He just sits around, and then shows up when Matthews isn't on the ice. And so you end up with this question, right, where Marner's the only one out there consistently. Honestly, the Leafs look better without Matthews on the ice, with Nylander and Marner out there. I think anyone who watched that series would agree that Matthews, when he was on the ice, the offense seemed stagnant. The puck didn't seem to move. And so that makes questions there. And then you have Keefe, who sits, Samsonov for Wall. Wall wins you 2 games to even the series at 3-3. And in Game 7, you sit Wall. That's a questionable move, especially in a sport where the goalie with the hot hand plays. So now you look at it, you just gave all these guys a lot of money. Your salary cap thin. And you've literally done nothing to essentially deserve that outside of regular season accolades. And you didn't even win a President's Trophy. You didn't do anything. You were always behind the Bruins. You're always behind the Panthers. You're always behind the Lightning. One of the 3. You're never the top team. So, and here's where it might get crazy. At a minimum, the coach is gone. Done. Has to be. Over. You have to make a change. Does he deserve it? Maybe. Does he not? Who knows? I think that it has to make a change. At a minimum, the coach is gone. At the maximum, you blow it up. You can get a lot. Let's be fair. You can get a lot. Because it's clear that this top line, which is by far one of the best combinations of players that you can have on paper, has underachieved at every single turn. And Leafs fans are tired of it. You have to be. And then they have the audacity. I don't know if you saw this. They came out and interviewed someone, and it's like, oh, we're kind of like, we're gods up here. For what? All you do is bring these people pain. You lose in a series where you should have won. I'm a Bruins fan. I watched just about every single one of those games. I was so convinced you guys are going to beat us in Game 7 that I didn't even watch the whole thing. The minute it was scoreless with like 4 minutes left in the second period, I went to sleep. You want to know why? Because I wholeheartedly believed you would win. Because this is typical Bruins hockey at this point, where they just blow, they just fall apart in a third. It was over. It was done. And then they didn't. And they managed to win in overtime. And you allowed it to happen. So, Gage, which one is more likely the Leafs blow it up, which is what I think they should do, because it's clear you can't win. These guys aren't going to win together, and you can get a lot for them and rebuild quickly. Or they'll simply fire the head coach and get somebody else.
Strictly, which is more likely, they're just going to fire the coach. More likely. Which I agree with you. I'd lean more blow it up, because the experiment, you've done the experiment. Like, you know the results. Like, the dull definition of insanity is, keep trying the same thing and expect different results every year. No, it's crazy. I think Mitch Marner needs to fucking go. And, like, his demeanor and attitude is fucking ridiculous for a team that doesn't do shit. And then he whines like a little bitch on the bench to fucking William Nylander, who, yes, doesn't play for whatever random reasons. But when he's on the ice, he's the only person that, for the Leafs, fucking putting up goals, putting up points. So it's hard to argue with the results for Nylander. And Austin Matthews, yeah, cool. You score a lot of goals during the regular season, but you're a cancer in the offensive zone. Cool. So I think two people on that team need to go, and because the Leafs have zero cap space. And to me, the two people that need to go is very clearly Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews. But it won't happen. The Leafs will leave and continue to leave until they aren't good enough to even make the playoffs anymore.
I mean, I 100% agree with that. I thought at a minimum it should be Austin Matthews. I think that, it's hard to say you should get rid of the leading goal scorer for the season. But let's be fair. Where was he in the playoffs? Outside of game 2, he was nowhere to be found. Literally nowhere. Then you look at Marner, literally nowhere to be found the entire time. Nylander was actually nowhere to be found for like 3 of the 7 games. Didn't even see him at skate-arounds in some situations, right? Like, there was a honest-to-God, like, lost persons case almost opened on this man from Leafs fans. And then he comes out, and when Nylander comes out and he plays, they start winning games. And it's like, Matthews is out because of an illness. I think that was probably the part of me that irritated me the most. And it was like, oh, he just wasn't being 100%. It's the fucking playoffs, dude. You're the leading goal scorer in the NHL by a landslide. And you're going to let a cold outdo, like, put you down. And it's like, oh, you don't know what he was dealing with. Jordan had a flu game and that's what winners do. You persevere. And if Leaf fans want to defend this man, then at this point, it's blatant Stockholm syndrome. You're just used to being abused by him, that you just want to defend him because, it's stupid. It's dumb. You look like you wanted to say something on this case. I think this is probably the one that I feel like we need to talk about the most, because it's the one that just makes no sense. But go ahead, take
100%. I don't necessarily agree with moving Matthews. One, because I don't know how you move him. You just gave him a raise, and he'll be making $13.25 million for the next 4 years until he's 30. How do you move him? How do you move that contract? You just gave him a raise. I also, from the way he played, he was not fully healthy. And I'm not going to blame this on Austin Matthews. He at least showed a little bit of something. Nylander speaks for himself. I am a William Nylander apologist, and I have been for a very long time now. William Nylander is the best playoff player on the Toronto Maple Leafs, and he has been since he got there. I don't think you move either one of those guys, especially Nylander. Mitch Marner, on the other hand, is a different story. Mitch Marner cannot score goals in the playoffs. I look at Mitch Marner's tape. He is extremely soft on the puck. He is afraid to take a hit. The goal he scored against Boston is a once in a maybe 5 games type of goal. He is a strict, especially in the playoffs. He does not go to the net. He doesn't go to the dirty areas of the ice. He does not crash the net to get loose pucks. He is perfectly fine going around the perimeter, and everybody is fine letting him have the perimeter of the ice as long as you don't have the middle. You can skate circles around us. What else can you do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing, and it's been that way for years with Marner. Especially since 2019 against the Bruins. The 3 series that stick out to me the most with Mitch Marner are the last year's series against the Florida Panthers, this year's series against the Boston Bruins, and the 2021 series against the Montreal Canadiens. Keep him to the outside. He can't do anything. He can't hurt us. An absolute ghost. And he's being paid $10 million, almost $11 million, until next year. He has a full no-move clause. However, I think he's the most likely to go, just because he has 1 year left on his deal. He's not coming back. If he signs another contract with Toronto, it's a sign and trade. Get him out. It's a sign and trade to get him out. I think the biggest mistake the Leafs made with this core was sticking to Marner when they should have treated him like Florida treated Jonathan Huberdeau and traded him for Matthew Tkachuk. Those were talks back then, and I don't understand why they didn't do it. Heck, there were talks back then of the Stars trading for Tkachuk in a certain deal, but I'm not sure when, but that's neither here nor there. I think that hindsight's 2020. Mitch Marner, in my opinion, has to go, and John Tavares has to go. The contract for John Tavares is playing out exactly how everybody thought and aging poorly. He signed for $11 million, and he's about to be 34. He's on the wrong side of 30. Heck, he's about to be on the wrong side of 35. He can't do it anymore. He's not worth it. If you can't get rid of that deal, you have to find a way to get rid of that deal, and if it means retaining salary so you can free up half of that for your cap space, so be it. You can't afford to pay 4 guys close to next year. You'll be paying an upward of $40 million. Scratch that. You'll be paying upwards of $46 million for 4 guys. That's unacceptable. You can't win like that, especially when your star players cannot carry you through a playoff series. Toronto didn't finish their rebuild correctly, and they're paying the price for it. And that's all I got to say. Bye-bye Marner. Bye-bye Sheldon Keefe. Should be bye-bye Brendan Shanahan. And should be bye-bye John Tavares. And maybe more. Should be bye-bye Ilya Samsonov. And maybe bye-bye Morgan Riley. I think the only guys that are safe from a purge, from a Stalinist-esque purge, are Austin Matthews, William Nylander, and Joseph Woll. Everybody else can be sent to the guillotine for all I care. They need it.
Wild too to think about. Like you just named off players, and that, like I said, on paper, the Maple Leafs are it. They have everything you'd ever want. It just never came together on the ice, and honestly, that's probably the biggest problem I think in all sports is getting these stars, getting these top tier talent players to work well together, and it's on the coach. And at that point, like you said, there's a certain point where there's no coming back from it. We're going to talk about a team that they came out and said it after they lost, and what they said was, we probably should have played a little harder in the regular season, so we didn't have to make the run against all the hard teams right out the gate. We could have, got a wild card team to warm up with and get moving there. And that is the Vegas Golden Knights, who pretty much, they were playing LTIR magic, moving a lot of money around, getting what looked to be healthy coming into the playoffs, go up against a Dallas Stars team that is hungry, take them to 7, and ultimately fall short. And now you're looking into 2024, 2025. Marchessault, unrestricted free agent. Really the only big name I'm seeing here that's going to be a restricted free agent. The biggest problem they have is really going to come down to cap space. They're going to have to figure out where all this money's going and how to pick people up, because I'll tell you right now, there's a little bit of a rough spot figuring out how they're going to get all that money and where it's going to go. So I'm going to start off with you on this one, Gage. Where do the Golden Knights go from here? And is Marchessault coming back, or is he going to be a casualty to the fact they just don't have the money?
Unfortunately, I do think he's going to be a casualty of they just don't have the money, because his services will be highly sought after from many teams that can pay him quite a fair amount of money to do so. But at the end of the day, if he wants to stay in Vegas, the team will make an offer, pretty good offer with what they have, because he's a huge piece, especially in the playoffs for them. Look at the run he put on last year with about a fucking points he had. So I think that Vegas would love to keep him, but in reality, not looking likely, because he's gonna follow the money. He has his cup. Like, unless he really values making another cup run or getting deep in the playoffs. But I think he follows the money to a team that's probably gonna get to the playoffs anyway. So why not make an extra couple $1 million a year for one of the best scorers in the NHL? How it goes.
Yeah, I mean, he's 33. He's only accounting for 6% of their total salary cap right now. There's going to be an offer on the table for him. He may take a hometown discount, but at 33 years old, you're thinking about how much time do you actually have left in your legs? How much time do you actually have left on the ice? You've got to make a decision for yourself and what's best for you and your family. And honestly, taking a pay cut in a sport that doesn't pay nearly as high as it should doesn't really sound like a good idea. And like you said, he's a very, very proficient scorer in this league, so he could easily find himself on another team that's going to make a playoff run. There's plenty of teams out there that are playoff hungry, that have the cap space, and especially a need on the front line there. He plays right and left wing, so he can play on either side. That sort of versatility is also coveted. And he, like I said, 33 is old, but it's not like he's clearly still has gas in the tank. You saw this season what he had. So I think that he's going to end up somewhere with one of these fringe playoff teams looking for another run. Somebody or hell, even one of the upper tier teams that just have been really making do with young sub tier talent a little bit and just playing really well together. He's going to come in and be a senior leader on a team that to put him over the top, which wouldn't surprise me at all. But you look at the coming, they got a few other free agents, restricted free agents coming through. It's going to be interesting to see how the Knights recover. I mean, you're talking about losing a key cog on the left and right wing. That's going to be interesting to see how that goes.
I'd honestly look for, this is not me just being biased, I think I'd look for the Devils to make them a pretty good offer. Because they traded away to Foley, and they'll probably look to add to reload for next year.
And that the Devils could have a hell of an offseason, realistically. If the Leafs, if Samsonov becomes available, you got an opportunity for a top tier goalie, which is something that we've been saying the Devils need. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people getting cut, especially for some of these outer, like at least what we project. I would assume Samsonov will be out there. There's going to be some definite goalies out there for people to go after. The Devils need to make a move, and they could solidify, and get Marchessault in there, and that'd be a hell of a line. I would be pretty scared of the Devils making a hell of a run in the East at that point, just because of what they then have. You got a solid, 900+ save percentage goalie in there. Had kind of a down playoff series against Boston, but at the end of the day, he's better than what you got, and he's going to play significantly better. And you have good defensemen on that Devils team. That wouldn't be a bad thing. But yeah, the Devils could see them making a move. The Preds might be in on that a little bit as well. They're still in a rebuild, looking for that final piece. We're talking about some of the other teams that obviously are playing a little young right now. You got the Bruins there, have had a youth movement, sort of. Could be looking to add some players depending on what their cap situation is looking like. There's a lot of playoff teams out there that either overperformed with their talent and could have a lot of cap space, or just need that last piece and be willing to go into cap hell to make one cup run. So it's gonna be interesting. I don't think Marchessault comes back. I think this is the final bit there, unless something drastically happens with him. So, Ian, you got any? I know you were checking out the Knights before we started. I'll go ahead and let you have your 2 cents here, man.
It'll be difficult. The that speaks for itself. The Knights right now are using 8,739,000 roughly in LTIR space, which is meaning they are almost $9 million above next year's salary cap, barring a jump. Looking at their UFA list, obviously you got Marchessault. You've also got Anthony Mantha, Chandler Stevenson, Michael Amadio. I think the name that sticks out to me the most, and I think this is the guy most likely not to come back, is Alec Martinez. 36 years old. He's coming. His contract is $5.25 million. I think my take is going to be not only is Martinez not coming back to the Knights, I think Martinez has played his last game in the NHL. Which, great career for him, 3-time Cup champ. But that frees up a little over $5 million in salary cap space. That gets you $3 million above the cap. Amadio's due for a raise next year with the way he's playing. He's gone. William Carrier, you let him go, he frees up $1 million. He frees up a little over $1 million. I think Mantha might stay, but I'm not sure. I wouldn't keep him just because, as good of a player as he is, he just gets injured too often to be making much more than he is. But with his production, he's going to demand a little bit more. I think there would be some buyer's remorse from anybody that takes a flyer on Mantha, and I love the guy, but I just don't see. I don't think Vegas should. I don't think Vegas should make that move, especially when you can replace his production with a young guy like Pavel Dorofeev or Brendan Brisson, who I believe has. I think Dorofeev has 20-goal upside. Stevenson, toss-up. He might be gone too. I think Vegas is going to regret the Thomas Hertl trade very soon. He's making $6.75 million for the next 6 years, and he's 30. His cap hit will be on the books for the next 6 years. He's already on the wrong side of 30, and he was a ghost. Outside of Game 1 against Dallas, he was a ghost. He was brought in to body people around and get in front of Jake Ottinger's eyes, and he couldn't do it. Now, if he was injured, who knows? Who's to say? That report hasn't come out yet. But for the most part, he just wasn't a factor outside of a power play goal. So I think Vegas might take a step back next year. It just depends on who they want to bring back. Do they shed talent? Do they shed depth to bring back Marchessault? Or do they let Marchessault go? Personally, I think Marchessault's gone. Vegas is a cutthroat organization that shows no loyalty to its players, meaning they're good at business. And if they have to make a good business decision to keep themselves in a cup contending window, that's what they'll do. So I think Marchessault is as good as gone to free agency, and I think, like you said, Gage, a great landing spot for him would be New Jersey. I also think I could see him in Winnipeg, somewhere that needs a forward. He would be great. He would be a great Jet, somewhere that has a little bit of cap space. Now, if they free up a little bit of cap space, and I'm going to bring it back to a team we've already talked about. Say the Leafs get rid of Mitch Marner and John Tavares. Clears up about $22 million. There's two free agents you can look at here. You can look at getting Jonathan Marchessault for maybe a $5.5 million deal. What if you could bring Steven Stamkos home on a hometown discount? Ontario boy, he's 35, but a gamer. He'd take a discount to go play for. He'd take the fan discount.
Could you imagine that?
He'd take the fan discount. Hey, if you can replace Mitch Marner and JT with Stamkos and Marchessault, that you bolster your playoff goal scoring, and that's what the Leafs have lacked. So, I don't know, just a thought out there, just a random thought, but that's my ramblings about the Golden Knights. I don't need to talk about a bunch of peons that we beat in 7 games.
That's coming from the Stars fans, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, go Stars! Vengeance for 2023.
But that is all of our breakdowns. I want to thank you for tuning in. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Share this with all your friends and family members and on your socials as well, so you can get more people in here to enjoy the crease, so we can get more people in the comments, so we can talk with you about hockey going on right now. We'll be back to break down the second round more so after these series get more underway, see how we predict the Eastern and Western Conference Finals from playing out. Until then, I'm Joe, that's Gage, and Ian. We'll see you next time on the crease.